Wow.
Yeah.
Who is Xavia Murray?
Boy. My name is Xavia Murray, auto mechanic, builder, tuner, driver. I that. I don't think that else did it. Cartoon, every cartoon where I watch it. I love nature. Like my biggest thing I forgot, take a walk through the bush and probably find a berry and some fruit tree and pick something up and eat it. That is me, that is Xavia Murray. I'm passionate about nature. A good thing, I was on the Discovery Channel, you know? I'm a snake handler then.
Yeah, stay with that. Come let out your thing.
Do a little farming, a little gardening, you understand? But people mostly know the side of me that deals with motorsports. You understand? The sulky looking face when you come and race. Because when you go and race, you know, we now go there for make up number. We are going there for run and run as fast as we can. So if you catch me at an event, you're going to say, yo, me now go over there so because the money look too serious. But that is the race face. But like how me there so now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we talk about some cartoon and some movie and
yeah, man.
where we like to drink and where we like to eat, where we like to go and move,
yeah.
where we like to watch. That is
different kind of vibe.
Different kind of vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
Manchester. Originate, born and grow. Big up all of my peeps there, so.
Which high school you attended?
Manchester High. And then I left there, did a year or two with daddy at auto body shop. So I can do auto body repairs too. And then I went to Jaggers, Jamaica and German automotive in the mid-90s. Yeah.
At what age did you develop an interest for cars?
For cars, from about, I think, as far as I can remember, maybe 7. I saw one bolt from a old Ford Cortina E with it outside. Every morning I go up there. One bolt me I pull and tighten. You know? So from then I say my passion is in from them time. Father was in motor, like the automotive scene. I grew up liking it and as a result wanted a fast car for myself. Couldn't afford it, so I decided I have to go build it myself. The first car I had out of high school was a rear-wheel drive Toyota Starlet. It come with a 4K. So really and truly Honda kinda I play a catch up this
yeah.
K20.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there was a 4K. So it fooled around that little bit.
Was it the Starlet?
Yeah, the Starlet.
Oh, okay.
We call it Turbo S. Which chassis that?
Was it rear wheel drive or
No, front wheel drive.
Front wheel drive.
Man, Turbo Starlet, Turbo S.
Yeah.
A white one. First me I driving now a turbocharged car. Up on the gas and come on boost me. I say, what that? I say, yo, that bad. By the
so
next day,
that's the first time you're feeling boost?
Yeah. First time I say, yo, what that man? Car fast, but we could have drive long time because we have pedal some slow car.
Yeah.
This was the Friday night, I can remember. And by the Saturday, I work on it. And pull off the hose off of the wastegate. Boost go up and boost cut. And I said, Jesus, smash up the engine already.
Yeah. Did you have any influence or anyone inspired you to start racing?
First of all, I'm a spectator. And I go always say that. Kept going to events, drag events, and every time same time them I run. Same time I run, I say Honda blow up, I see car blow up, and I say that can be a little better. So I decide, so I go do it. You understand? So I decided, say boy, I go start build and tune and see what happen. Coming from turbo starlet days when you couldn't run and no blow up. Turn up some boost on the turbo starlet nah blow up. And I say alright, I'm gonna make a step up now. Get to the Honda. Have the Honda drive daily, turbocharge, just oil change. And then one Saturday, one Sunday in there at JDRA. At JDRA, I think it's JDRA was having a test and tune. And me and Lizard jump in it and we say we'll go test and tune. Hot car, hot. Reach down there and sign up the paper. You never get no time for cool.
Yeah.
Line up. You never even know how to launch a car.
Oh, so your very first event?
Yeah, very first official event.
Right,
You understand?
okay.
I used to do little drag over Portmore there and, you know, going to school and car full of groceries and you make a one thing and, you know. And 12.8, I mean, I say, hold on, you have a 12-second car around on the road back in either late 99 or early 2000.
Wow.
I say, but it not feel that fast, but that was what I was accustomed to. You understand? So that's how it started. That was my first time against the tree. And Cleve, big up uncle, Cleve Speed, previous Graham, come over to me and say, boy, you need to lift the back of the bonnet, you know, and get the ear go over the roof. I did have some things under it.
Yeah.
Some spacers, but him say, boy, it need to go higher.
Okay.
You know, so from there, so me and Cleve, I come from turbo starlet days really.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into it.
Okay.
And I say, it was 2018 and we took Peppermint, so we call it A86, the rear wheel drive Corolla.
Right.
Peppermint.
But just for the record, you name all your cars.
Yeah, all of them have to have a name.
Interesting.
It just add a flavor and a little bit of passion.
Uniqueness
to the
too.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So that one there, me dey like the fact say we finished the car like a week before the event. Go down there, go test it, encounter a little problem. Sort it out, drive the car to the track with the luggage, everything, take it out, do practice, qualify, put the luggage back in the car, drive it go to the hotel, wake up the next morning, drive it go to track, run 2 races.
Yeah.
Come second place and second overall, you know, like me did the run a back and second in a class. Second overall, and that was my first time racing at Dover.
Okay.
And the second race we got a first place in a MP4. And to know say is a street car come through the chicane month now, they catch it cock up on 2 wheel. That was, you know, that was on my to-do list for race at Dover.
Okay.
And to know say, yo, people turn over in a chicane already, you know.
Yeah.
Or a particular brother turn over in a chicane. But go through the chicane and have it on 2 wheels, and it never felt like that.
Yeah.
And everything under control, and if you know say with accomplish what we want to accomplish, pack up the car and drive home, that to me is
stand out.
Yeah.
Alright.
Come to show you some of my car them now. So pieces of Jamaican motorsports history. Now the corner, yeah.
So after all these years, they're still here?
Yeah, still here. So anybody that knows about Dover from 2003 will remember Teddy Burton. And this is Teddy Burton's old Honda Civic EG number 55.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So back in I think it was 2000 October 2003, we made our appearance at Dover Raceway with this car. New team, new car, new driver. When I have no experience about nothing at all about circuit racing, I was enthused, Teddy Burton just loved the driving, and you know, that's street man, right? So we went there. I think we qualified on pole. First rookie ever to be on pole at a circuit event.
Okay.
This was a car. It was a B18B LSV Tech back then.
Built by.
Don't know. So I put it on pole, and the man Charlie Phillips did have a little coming together.
Okay.
In the first two corners and get a little hit. Second race, it went well. I think it went well. I got 2 trophies. If you go one race and you come back home with that trophy, that's good enough.
Yeah.
And this car later on, we went on to upgrade the brake, upgrade the suspension. Driver got a little more seasoned, and then them time the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, Rain King.
Okay.
You know, David Somerville and Doug Gore and them people there.
Right.
When you're looking up and start finish straight, you see one little Civic Honda EG and one bag of all-wheel drive behind like a clothesline. You know?
David, and Teddy Burton crowds him out. Teddy Burton does a wonderful job there of crowding him out. Only won't catch me, but to go out for work to pass me.
So there now everything start to revolutionize. Who used to run restrictor, take out restrictor, big stroker motor, go and pin them and catch a fire in them, and call no name. It was still the Honda EG. So we ran it for a couple of years.
Okay.
B18B, we kept going up with the compression ratio, change the camshaft, exhaust, manifold. And all of this time we are run pan like a chip computer.
Yeah.
With Fields VTEC controller, because we couldn't actually tune the computer back then.
Okay.
Just get a chip, put it in, and I just distribute and something the newer generation don't know anything about.
For first place, Teddy Burton is trying to hold up
Yeah man, so we did run this for a while, and then Teddy acquired a EK9, which is that car.
But before we go to that car, what was the main setup on this car? It was a B series, all motor natural.
All motor natural.
Okay.
For the first part, but we eventually went turbocharged with it, you know.
Oh.
The last of it that was seen, it was turbocharged.
Trying to get him on the inside. Teddy is not giving up. It's a drag race.
I think it kind of back and forth because the engine, the turbocharged engine actually came out of the EK9.
Okay.
Right? So we ran the EK9 turbocharged B16B, as you know, with the EK9 engine. 500 almost 30 horsepower.
Damn! Well, let's go over to.
Right.
I mean, let's.
Oh, so they call this car, you know, the Taliban.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, how you got the name though?
Just the behavior, it's unpredictable. As me say, we never know nothing about turn corner them there. They will just throw something together, and based on whatever settings I could have tried out for my street car, I would have throw it on this and tell you, would have say, me drive man, me drive, and we just give it a name.
Okay.
Taliban.
Alright.
So we upgraded now. I went to the EK9, which is still here.
I mean, what's the main reason for changing chassis though? I mean, from the EG to the EK.
Well, the EK9 is a better handling car.
Okay.
Right out of the box, and came with better brakes, even though we upgraded those.
Right.
We just wanted a new chassis.
Okay.
And we got it. Turbocharged the engine, custom rods and whatnot, because you know, them not really make nothing for B16B.
And what years, what time span we're talking about now?
Maybe 2008 to 2011. Somewhere there about. I'm not sure of the time span.
Okay. And you said this right here is the infamous. Did this car carry the name Taliban though?
No, we call this one the assassin. So what happened now is that we did the B16B turbocharge and make the 500 and a little bit horsepower,
right.
the 10,000 RPM and all of them something there. It came, it never did anything great first time out. We had traction problems. It was red then.
Right.
But what I can remember is that I remember David Somerville coming on the mic and saying, boy, he has never gotten passed by a car that fast. Man come up and him just say the Civic just pass him.
Wow.
Right? Because 520 in a little light car like that will cause that to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So we kept going back and forth. So we take the engine out of this car,
right,
and put it in that car.
Okay.
Run the car, the turbocharge for probably about a year or two.
Okay.
Right?
So what was the reason for going back to this chassis?
You know, me no remember.
Okay.
Honestly, me no remember.
Okay.
It's just a vibe.
Okay.
We went back turbocharge with that.
Okay.
And then we decided, say, here we are go put back the turbocharged engine in a that car,
which is the EK.
which is the EK. And this time now we did over the braking system, we did over the suspension, put on the wide body kit on it, spray it in a flat black.
Okay.
And the record holder then was Peter Jagan with a 125.8, and we came back the meet after, and Teddy go out there and do one lap, and we hear say record broke. One lap, 125.3. So this car had the record, front wheel drive record for a while, until Kyle Gregg he come and take it.
Right.
And we took the engine, turbocharged engine out of it, and we went K series.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, so this would you say that this is one of the first circuit cars to have gone a K swap?
Locally built.
Locally.
Right. There was one that came in from Cayman, a white one. I don't remember. I think it's Tony's Toys that brought that EK9 in.
Okay.
They had at the Andy Budden did drive it. They had the first K swap car to run at Dover. Okay. This was the first locally one that, and Teddy put it on pole that day.
Wow.
Yeah, we took about 3 days put it together to do the K swap. I mean, build the engine, put it in and tune it.
How difficult was it back then? I mean, nowadays we have custom mount, you can just go and do a simple swap.
Yeah.
You know, how difficult was it back then too?
Well, back then you had Hasport same way. So we bought the Hasport mount kit and the drive shaft axle. So it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Throw it in and wire it up.
So there was nothing too major for you? Okay.
Straightforward.
Okay.
Straightforward.
Okay. And how did that perform though?
Well, Teddy put it on pole. Put it on pole. The man Kyle Gregg was on the front row. Unfortunately, we had a shifter problem.
Okay.
The first race, so him kind of fall back to second place. I think the second race he got a second again. So it was very successful. And then the car got sold to Akil Short, and then I don't know what happened. One hold for something always happen. Back and forth. Okay. But it's still there.
It's still here.
It's still a hold its space, you know.
I mean, guys, motorsports history, right? Definitely revolutionized the game.
Yeah, man. Honda.
You know? And I mean, I think these two cars paved the way for what we have today, where we have a whole lot of Hondas on the grid.
Yeah, because before that red car there, the Taliban, You da hear Honda do over. Oh, sure. Now you hear Honda they are do over. One line of Honda. Everything is say Honda.
Yeah.
Why no Honda have Honda engine in it? You know?
Yeah.
So I think we did pretty well.
Okay.
From way back then.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Well, what are the chances of we seeing back some of these legendary cars on track? Or racers, so to speak?
This car you might see it again.
Okay.
I don't think the Taliban coming back.
Okay. The Taliban retire.
Taliban, every panel leak. Because, you know, coming through as a front wheel drive, you know, you're going to have a man when don't want it happen. You understand? And them bunks up, then lick this fender, them lick that the door, and, you know, but the chassis still good, you know, in terms of straightness. It don't have no chassis damage, just removable panels.
Okay.
You know, them something there.
It was a pretty basic setup.
Yeah, it basic. It may sound basic, because I know everybody get it either. But I don't see nothing wow. It never had traction control.
Right.
It was running E-manage at one point.
Okay.
When it did the first turbocharge.
Okay.
It never went. We did in the last part when it went K series. We had a AM in there.
Okay.
And a Haltech too. We just tried different things. And what better place to prove it than on the racetrack?
True.
You know. So.
Your most recent circuit car is the CRX. The infamous CRX.
Rexy to the world.
It's here, right?
Yeah, man, it's there.
Yeah, man, I mean,
we have it locked up in our cage, you know.
Yeah? I mean, if you can take a look, no problem.
Can look, yes.
Alright. Alright, so another part of motorsports history right here. Alright. Uncle Z, tell us a little bit about the CRX.
Alright, so this car was purchased by James Ince. Wanted a test car. Said he wanted a pump gas setup. So not no Huawei B16B. Stock compression, set a camshaft, valve spring and them something. They put it together. In the process of putting it together, he said to me, "You want to drive it?" I say, "I don't know. Car no make no power. I drive no weak car." But he said, "Drive it, man." So we go down there and I do a test session and we see the time start to come. So I say, "Alright, me drive it." So the first time out, we ran 6 races. 3 IP2 and 3 MP1s.
Okay.
Did very well. Got a second in the first race, starting from pit lane, and the other 5 were 5 first places. So we decided, say, boy, we upgrade now. A little suspension, make some more power. We go back with test. Corona hit.
Okay.
Corona hit, so the car they are put down. And then now we go back out and do some testing, different tires, whatnot. In testing the car did a 128.3. For a 1600, a legal 1600. Let me just get that in there. I beg them to protest it. I say, come protest, get to no things, protest. Because everybody has said, no, I don't know, no 1600 that a 18 or a 2 liter. Yo, you don't know them, man, they stay here, man.
So you were protested with this guy?
No, they never did. But they wanted to, and I wanted them to. I wanted them to protest it because I protested one of my engines before, a B16A that I built for Natasha Chang back in, must say, 2012, and them protest it.
Okay.
And them carry it, go ATL, and them come with them accoutrements, and them we take off the head, and them check them bore and them stroke, and me hear Raj Judges thing say, Mr. Murray, over 5cc, you know, I was supposed to be at 1600, right, where they are 1595, so it was way legal, you know, way legal. I think Natasha was driving the wheels off it back then too. So this is basically a upgraded version of what Natasha was running. And I mean, this one don't have all the bells and whistles thrown at it either. I think it's a fairly basic setup to what is available now.
Gotcha.
But you know, we like it, and we just put something together and we're gonna run it.
There was a particular incident that took place, right? You know, we're gonna talk the things. Right?
Yeah.
So there's an incident which involved, you know, another racer, which, you know, the car his car overturned. You know, you suffered pretty much minor, right? Nobody has heard you talk on that issue before, but I'm going to ask you, in your words, what's your take on the whole?
Well, as you say, it was a racing incident deemed by the officials, but if you look at the side of the car, you know, right from, I would have say, well, the back fender have a little lick on it still, but the more visible one is right at the 103, going down from the door to the running board, coming to the back part of the front fender. You see, this is the black mark them.
Oh, okay.
Tire mark, that you know. That's a tire mark.
Okay.
But if you look on the front of the car, no lick not up on the front of it. You understand? So there's no way I could have used the side of my car and lick a next man's car. Right. I'm going to roll it back to qualifying. I did a 129.0 in qualifying in traffic, and the other person did a 135.
Okay.
That is 6 seconds behind. There's a 6 second deficit right there.
Okay.
And to me, in a drag racing terms, that is like running a 9 second car versus a 15 or 14 second car. You understand? A whole heap of gap, that, you know. That's a whole heap of gap. When you watch like Formula 1 and you hear them say them 2/10 behind, 2/10 would that be a half a car, 4/10 would that be 3-4 car. In a drag terms, you hear say you get a container length. You understand what I say? So I think the other driver overdid it. May never come out and say, boy, I was wrong, but the line that I took going down to the stone wall there, we call it Pinky's Bluff, going down there, I was on my line, and the footage that he put up showed that his left rear wheel came in contact with my right front wheel, and that's how the car get pitched forward and turned sideways. That's the video he put up. And then now I have the in-car video, which I have never released, I'm going to give it to you, where I lifted, which allowed him to come forward. what happened, I said, boy, this look like him want to put me in the wall. You understand? So me lift.
Okay.
And same as me lift, me boom in the car. And me swing to the left. And then back to the right. To avoid when me see him slide around and gone up in the hillside. Me swing back to the right. Right? So, really and truly, I think it was a case where if me no pass him yes so, me not get to pass him again. Because even the start of the race is a big bungalow. I have that in-car footage where dip on the brake, dip on the gas, dip on the brake, dip on the gas. And after turn 2, me said to myself, you know what? I go just back out a little bit because too much confusion up here. So
right.
me no love the bungalow and too much lick up. I almost go on so me back out tight. And just I try, you know, fix up myself to go down. And next thing me know, me hear something. And when me I hear to the pace, me not supposed to have that in my ear. So me say something right. So me, boom. Right?
Okay.
And that's how that happened. So that's all I have to say on the matter.
On that issue. So I know you've been working behind the scenes. You know, I say, you know, Lamar, the A1 team,
Yeah.
other racers, you've been working behind the scene, but will we actually see you behind the steering wheel anytime soon, circuit racing?
I have so much to do. It's a challenge to work on your own car. Much more to come out and race it and still tend to the customers.
Yeah.
It's a big challenge, it's a big sacrifice. So the time, I don't think the time is permitting it at this moment.
Okay.
Yeah. But if we do come back out with Rexy, it's going to be faster. That me can't tell you. It was in the mix with the MP2 car them.
Yeah.
It might be right up there with the MP2 car them when it come back out. It's gonna come back faster. Whole heap faster. And I know 6 seconds. Need out that 10, 15 or 20, 1 minute.
I know when it comes on to drag racing, which is another genre of motorsports, you are a pioneer. What was your first project race build car? The first car that you built?
Race, purpose built race car. Same white turbocharged EG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is the current record, front wheel record. Since what, 2017?
Yeah.
2016, 17?
2017.
17. And your record still stand today. We're in what, 2023?
You laugh, but you know, even funny, you know, you see the white car, back when me and Craig used to be
Which one are the white cars?
the front wheel drive turbo car.
The turbo car?
Yes.
Alright.
From way back this, so this car had the record.
So you broke your own record?
Yeah. You keep doing it over and over. And I don't even remember. Craig probably would remember. I think it was in 2000 and probably 2001, 2002. We had a B6, the car came out with a B16. By the way, me just take the time to big up my sponsor, Farmers Jerk Uncle G, because we have been friends for the last 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or probably 22 to 2002, 2001 we met.
Okay.
And the same little car where you see my race there,
Yeah,
the 83.
The 83.
The 83, that car is a 83. He took it here to me and said, boy, he want me build it. We couldn't find no parts for it. And I said, boy, I can't manage that car, you know. But Uncle G is a persistent man. Eugene Grandis is a persistent man. He say to me, say, what kind of car you want? I say, an EG like what me have, because I was racing an EG at the time that we call the Matrix. Give all the car them a name. And he took the car here. James Inns took the car here and they strip it down. The parts came late for the event. So what I did was I took the engine out of my street car
Okay.
Put it in the race car.
Okay.
Yeah, go race it, win the 12-second class. And it's like from then, Eugene realized this person is not about collecting money. It's about the passion for it and satisfying a customer. And after I got the parts of the B16 for him now, Billy put in and him say, boy, you drive it. Right? You drive it. And go out there, run a time. I give all of the drama, you know. I run a time and him say, I want the record.
Yeah, boy.
So I say, boy, can't get the record now, we have to go blow you up, you know. He must say blow you up.
I'm big boom, make sure I big boom, yeah.
What? Them time they will have nitrous on it, you know, B16 with nitrous, right? You never have no protection, no Windows switch, no none of them little something fancy something there. Go out them and with a button pan the steering and you hear it, I go down the track and me hear, pow! One big explosion, coolant power windshield, oil power windshield. I said, Jesus. I hope I hit that. That me I said. I hope I hit that guy done for the day, you know. Because back then, you know, them used to give out what you call manufacturer's trophy.
Okay.
So, at any point in the day, you can run that time there, you will get the manufacturer's trophy. So it was between me and Craig now. Him a come for the trophy, me a come for the trophy. One thing I must say, we were rivals, but we were respectful to each other. With that. You know, but apart from that, we go over, go on, everything good, and you know, shake and lick fist and him something there.
Sportsmanship.
Right, so we did a 11-2 something, which was a little lower than his 11-2.
Okay.
And after that now, we decided, say, you know, the engine they mash up, we could go to a B20.
By the way, was that the record?
It was a 11-2, low 11-2, that was the record.
Then?
From 2002. To either 2001 or 2002.
Wow.
That
11-2.
was, remember, you know, back then, you know, I just V8 around 11s and 12s, you know, find 4-cylinder. Very few 4-cylinders would be running 11s. Like you'd have Wayne Williams would be in the 11s too. I don't know if Wayne was running 10 at the time. You know, I don't remember. Anyway, but back then, fast, them time now is a 1600.
Okay.
We don't have no track bite, no rubber, no nothing. Just source of concrete we I work with. And we went to a B20. Came back with the B20 run 11-0. 3 times for the day and the car would have never run 10 and I said, gee. What me have to go do now? Forget this at 10 seconds out of the car.
Yeah.
It would not run the 10-9. So Stephen Gunter said to me, say, boy, you could have raised bracket in because 11-0. And we said, alright, cool. So we're going to do some serious things to it now. So we send the block, go get his sleeve.
Okay.
Get the one-piece front, the fiberglass doors, the trunk, the Lexan, and put it on it. Spray it over.
Right.
And they come back out the next meet. And we run a 10-4.
Just like that?
Yeah. Well, never just like that because of course you know we change other little things on it. You know, the car get lighter, we went to bigger wheels, but throughout the process of the car we've been trying little things that were not visible to the spectators. And that is always the case with MAD. We're always trying something else, making some improvements on the car. Maybe around it, under it, in the engine. We just try little things and maximize it the best we can before we really crank it up. Right, so we run a 10-8 first. It's controversial 10s because there was no mile per hour that day. Then we went, was the only car in 10 seconds that day. And then we went to elimination, 10-second class, run a 10-4. And that was the record for a very, very long time. Until Jam West opened now. Jam West was opening at 2003. Because what I remember, the same year we went to Dover, I remember them asking, NDRC asking us to come down because they want to represent, you know, get a good showing for Jamaica. And we took the same Taliban where we talk about Teddy Burton car there. Change the doors, put the doors off of the white car on the Taliban, took the cage out, lighten it, same B18B, and run 11.9, and that was the first all motor in the 11s in Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
That car.
So you pioneered also the all motor.
The all motor.
Wow.
So that record for the all motor 11.9 stood there until 2015. From 2003 to 2015.
Wow.
When we went back with what we call +1, that is the K series all motor car. It's still a record holder. Right.
Which is right here.
Which is right here.
Alright, we should take a look at it, guys.
So we went here and we ran a 11.4, we moved the record.
Okay. So you broke your own record again?
Yeah.
Alright.
So back to the white car now. We took the white car to the Jamwest. On this occasion, we go there and it just feel like it have a traction for the 60 foot, right? So it would have move and it feel like, say boy, it bag. You want more RPM, it turn you up, it move but it still feel slow. You understand? But the car are pulling, you know.
Right.
Run 10-1, 10-0. And I say, you know, me and a bike boy. A bike boy take me on in the night there, you know, Kedron.
Yeah.
And said to me, oh, you idiot, Honda boy. Just pionize, you know, make me get upset, you know. So I do a burnout and then I do a dry hop. And I say, you know what, anything pop here, man. Move the launch control. He said, me leg of the clutch, the car do say, yeah. And I say, yeah. 2, 3, 4, and at this point, you know, it's still a spin a little in a third and fourth, you know, but no.
Right.
Yo, when me come back, you see Puffy a jump up, me I say, no man, sitting happen.
Yeah.
Sitting happen, me say, Denny will work with me. I jump, me I say, hey, sitting. Something happen when me look, 9s, the first front wheel drive.
In Jamaica.
In the 9s.
Wow.
Right? In 9s.
Wow.
And yes, we had a mile per hour to go with it, so it was solidified.
Right.
A 9s, right? And as me say, me and Craig were good sportsmen.
Yes.
Him call me and me away from Jamaica and him say, oh, congratulations, and whole pa call come in and I would say, alright, I'll try do some more things.
So what you remember what 9 that was? 9.
It's a 9.
9. Okay.
It's a 9. I probably bought 142, you know. 142 miles per hour. I never know big mile per hour. And we say, alright, we're gonna try some more things. And we come back.
So at that time, you thought you could go faster?
Could go faster.
Okay.
Could go faster, cause me I say it's still a spin, third and fourth. And then now, I have a few people come in, Uncle G come in, a couple of other friends come in and say, yo, I could send the car go foreign, car need traction. What do this? And I say, I don't have the time to do them something. They lock the shop, pack up car, send it go foreign. It was never a dream of mine then, and it's non-existent in my mind to say, boy, even take the car, none of the car them for not matter. Me know.
Right.
It's not on my to-do list.
Got you.
It may have too much other things to do.
Yeah.
So we go and the thing about that 9 that I hold dear to me, back in them days, of course they did have the axle, engine management, the hull tech and management about there.
Right.
This car had in a stock computer Again, a chip computer.
This car ran 10s with that chip computer?
9s.
9s
with a chip computer, and the chip wasn't for a turbo application either. I have
wow.
Let me tell you what they did in the car there. It never have no rev limiter. It had a pump and regulator system, meaning the fuel pressure would raise X amount per whatever boost.
Okay.
Now everybody around 1-to-1 regulator. This was, I don't remember what it was. I did make some shims for the regulator to change how fast and how much it raised, the sensitivity of it and all of them something there, and get it right.
Yeah.
Run out of fuel pathway and I say, you know what? They must say, put one standalone panel. I say, nah man, I have something to prove. Well, a piece of pipe in the intercooler piping and put a 5th injector in it and use a pressure switch and turn it on.
Yeah?
Yeah. And at that fuel the car, we never had any engine issues. And we went back the meet after and we ran a 9.8. And we kept
at Jamwest?
At Jamwest. Okay. We kept going back. And because them did say, boy, whoever win the championship, you get this, get that. So me a toddle between the two class. I run a 10 in the morning to qualify for the 10-second class, and in the evening, I run a 9. And we go back the next meet and I run a 9 to qualify. Back and forth. I try win the two class, you know.
Interesting.
I try win the two class.
Interesting.
You have to be smart about it, you know. You have to be smart about it. So basically, that's where the car come from. And so the car ran 9s from 2005. And that record sat there until 2017.
2017. And I wonder who broke that record in 2000.
You know, man, say it. You know.
No, well, listen, I am sure a lot of people watching this they will be mind blown just as much as I am, because I didn't know all of these.
Yeah.
So basically you have been, I mean, well, I know at one point there was some rivalry between you and Craig with the banana. Right.
Yeah.
At Vernam.
Yeah man, that back in the early 2000s, may I tell you about.
Gotcha.
2000, and when I started racing Vernam, I think it was like 2000. I think about 2000, you know.
Okay.
Officially racing at Vernam.
Okay. 2000.
2000. So the 9.8 run 2005, and it did this until 2017. Neil did break it and run a 9.4.
With his turbocharged?
With his turbocharged car.
Okay.
And then me say, try on, man. Now we go. We have some gearbox problems still.
Yeah.
But the car.
So let me ask this though, Uncle Z. Was it that 9.4 by Kenty that prompted you to say, listen, I'm coming back out?
No. Because from 20, we always had plans to better the car.
Okay.
Which we did in 2009. We did actually do over the car, and different turbo car go jam with, it couldn't hook. It couldn't hook, it just nyam the tire them. Right? 9, think you 999. So it's not like we did run it then and we couldn't run it back. We changed the setup and go back out, boop. 9 half of the trailer. And then we say, boy, this traction thing is a big deal. And then of course we are toddle between drag and circuit. At one point now, me and Teddy Burton share the Taliban in a GMMC sprint, all motor. Did well there, so we had the fastest front wheel drive time.
You did sprint as well?
I did sprint as well.
We'll have to talk about that a little later.
Yeah.
Everybody, myself included, want to see these cars because they're here. The all motor and the turbocharged.
Yeah.
You mind showing us?
Yeah, can come it there.
Alright, so contrary to popular belief, the car is not parted out.
No.
It is here.
How that them say? Say car part out?
Well, you know, from people that see cars after a while, you know.
They say
"Boy,
part out.
That part out,
Me-
you know, that's gone. You know.
Let me tell you something. One thing I like to do,
Yeah.
take pride in the work that I do, is that my car must run for the day. Reliability is a big thing for me, right? If we go out and we win a race and the engine get destroyed, then it bad or not too bad,
Right.
right? Yeah, we get something.
Right.
But you see, if the car can drive back on the wrecker, on its own power, come off on its own power, the Monday morning, if they say race, we can just pack you up and go back a race without touching it.
Yeah.
That is a big deal for me. So this car been sitting here from 2017. After we purge the system the night when we come back, it never start again.
Okay.
It's there. I don't even know what going on under there, but
Alright. So this is the record holding front wheel drive car in Jamaica. Right?
yeah.
Uncle Z, I mean, it look like you can just show up at the next event.
Yeah, put words in my mouth, you know. You see, you're not easy, you know.
No, I mean the car is intact. I
It's
mean,
intact, nothing.
right? The car is clean. I mean, you know. Whoa. Whoa.
2017 for now, how long? 5 years?
27, right? 5
And
years.
5 years worth of dust. You basically a see on it. Everything dusty. Not no pull up. No, it can start up.
It can start.
Well, I don't think we can just start it because of course the fuel system are gonna need to go through.
True.
You know.
Right. But let me ask this though. I mean, the car is here. I'm sure your fans would want to know. Is it that you don't see anything? There has not been any motivation. Well, I mean, why haven't we seen this machine back out since 2017?
Alright, so how me work now, you know, there is the belief that I only come out when a record, bro, or somebody move me time, me I go come out, and I'm not like that.
Okay.
Because the record was there how long, I will never even bother to fool around with it.
Alright.
It's just a vibe.
Okay.
How me feel when me feel for race right now, or when me feel for do. It may not even have nothing to do with racing. You understand?
Right.
And that's why it just there park.
Right.
Because we could have easily dust it off.
Yeah.
We had transmission issues the day. It qualified 10. Because me I try flat shift it.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
And the gearbox wouldn't allow it. So we went back out and granny shift. And it run a 9.3. So there's a lot more left in it. So I could have just show up the meet after.
Okay.
Wherever it was. And I've gone faster. But I just the vibes.
So your granny shifted to a 9.3
9.3
2017.
2017.
Oh, may I tell you something? If you think the track was going on, this is big one. Let me tell you, problem is extreme. Let me tell you, the Honda's off. Let's look those. And the mic broke out, we don't know.
I would love to find a driver
Okay.
that is humble enough to accept the task to drive them car.
Okay.
Because I'm a spectator first, you know. Me prefer to spectate
Yeah.
to drive the car, but sometimes you have to do it yourself, you know.
Gotcha.
So I mean, any race car you want to run reliably, you have to put in the work.
True.
Check everything, you have to go testing and check again, and so the time time is just not there. And I say it now gonna happen, I just don't know when.
Well, I mean, how you feel? Your record's untouched, 5 years going, and still.
Look here, you need to tap the whole part chatting and just do something. You understand me? I say the whole part chatting, nah, make no sense. How me I go run this at time? Just can't do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And so me feel about it. I mean, it would have good to see somebody else run a time. You understand?
Okay.
The whole for long talking.
Okay.
Do it.
I know we have two racers who look like they have potential to who are actively racing now. Grizzly, you know, with his EG, and we have Wayland as a front wheel drive.
Yeah.
Most other guys, you know, kind of transition to all wheel drive. But you know, say the next meet, you know, Grizzly should, you know, do a 9-2. Is it that, you know, because there's no competition really, you kind of like, you know, why should I come out and break my own record another time? Would that motivate you that if somebody break your record, you'll be like, all right, let me dust off the machine?
I'm glad say somebody else I try to step forward, because I would have liked somebody else have the record no?
Okay.
You know, and
okay.
just take your me no always affair. Why am me always affair do it like Nike? Yeah man, somebody else will go do it too. So
yeah.
It's good for the sport so somebody else can be inching forward, and records were meant to be broken. So there's no I wouldn't feel anyway if somebody run a faster 9.3
okay.
or a 9 or 8 second, you know. As we said, we have so much things to do, we can't really focus wholly and solely on racing.
Got you.
And it is not good for motorsports in Jamaica, especially drag racing, if the time has been left there. Fine, 9.3 fast, for what we did our work with.
Right.
But it's not like, what? You know?
True.
We can't go faster. We have gone faster.
Right.
So, I mean, it would have good if him come out and run a time. You know, that would be good to see.
That would be good.
Yeah. Whenever we're going racing, something have to happen when we get there when we never expect. Fate surprise we, like the transmission issue. If you say we come a race, we already run the time. It's just to get it on the paper.
Yeah, boy.
We run the time already. But you see the scare man, the scare for day one. It's always a fight, you know. So we come there and we have, you know, racing go already. Things happen where you never unforeseen things. Couldn't get it in a gear.
Okay.
And I know what the problem is.
Okay.
And we can fix it. A matter of fact, we bought the parts to fix it, fix the problem.
Okay.
But I think at the time, because we were getting ready for the 2018 season, and then now Vernon Field and they shut it down, remember? Right. So we never bother put no more effort in it. So the car just there cover up.
Wow.
And then because of that now we there do van, do all sorts of other sitting.
Wow. Another piece of motorsport history, right? It's here.
Yeah.
Can show us.
Yeah, man, it's there.
Okay, now I see why you refer to this car, the turbo car, as the white car.
Right.
Wasn't this car white, the all motor? No?
It was never white. It was always red, burgundy. You know something strange? May I look on it the other day? This car is painted white, red stripe, blue stripe, right? From 2003.
Yeah.
This car came about in 2012. 2011, from 2011 that car had about, you know, but it never run until 2015. Same vibes, not enough time for Bill put everything together. So happens that this color is this car. Blue is the color of the all-wheel drive. You understand what I say? You never plan, you know? You never plan.
No, the all-wheel drive is the car that everybody know make everybody uneasy.
Anna, we call that Anna. Anna, that.
No, for people watching, Anna is top secret for now.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Anna, chill out. Anna just a go on.
Alright.
Whole of vibes.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is the all motor, guys. K series.
This is from 2017 park up. Because remember, both cars ran at the same event in 2017.
Right.
They took the two cars to the same event.
This car is currently the fastest all motor front wheel drive
That's correct.
in the island.
Yes.
Now, how do you feel to hold both records? Front wheel drive turbocharged, front wheel drive all motor. I mean, that's definitely an accomplishment.
Yeah.
You know, for persons who know you're not a high person, you're very
Yeah.
humble. You know, I think most people having both records would be, you know, more, boy, yo, beat them chest.
But then say me hype still, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on hype. And him go like say, oh my God, and him can do everything. But honestly,
Yeah.
I don't really feel no way.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm happy and grateful for the opportunity
Right.
to have a record holding car, but it's still not coming like nothing. Because it's just a record and a life. You understand?
Gotcha.
I more cherish the opportunity to learn how to put them engineer together, how to tune them, and then know the knowledge I gain can trickle down to the vehicles them that we service and the others that we modify. You understand? Because if you can have a race car up on the edge and it survive, it's no biggie to have a street car living on less power. It is more like a learning experience. So me not really, it feel good say I have a record, but I not like someone that say, yo, me have all of the record, nobody can chat to me, and no sir. I want to tell you, said I feel like the reason why them cars are so dirty, so forget to them over here. We not pay this aside the shop no attention.
Yeah.
No, because this bonnet has not come off. Me not even know. Probably third or fourth time since 2017. We take it off. Yeah. The second time it came off for sure was Demar lead. It come down here and him father, and you know I was showing them around, and me take off the bonnet and we start it. And that was in 2017. The last part of December. You know start since, but as you can see everything intact.
Intact. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Pull up.
What would it take for the all motor car for you to come back out with the all motor car?
You not take nothing. This one is easier to come back out than this because it not take nothing. We'll probably wash it off and polish it. It made one qualifying run and one elimination.
Yeah?
Yeah, because what happened is that we come the morning and we went out with this car first. We make one run, lit the limiter in a 1, lit the limiter in a 2, lit the limiter in a 3. And I said, Jesus, master, this look like says a 10-2 run.
I'm telling you. Wow. Wow.
And that me I think, you know, because what happened, we never get to test the car. We went to test and the rain fall just as we take it off of the flatbed. To go up, do the run. The rain come down and me test it to Dennis say, yo, the car now go get tested now, I just run it come the event, right? So going down, I was waiting on the shift light. Shift light never came on. I remember we had run it twice in 2016, the two first events.
Right.
So it's over a year I never drive this car, so I don't remember nothing about it, too tough. So, me I say, 1 limiter, 2 limiter, 3 limiter, must be at 10-2, come back up. Me see my sister hold the paper in her hand and say, hot, you hot, you hot. Me I say, what that mean? So then he jump up and say, yeah. And I say, what that mean?
Yeah.
So me take a slip, because I say, boy, you know.
Yeah.
And when me look, I see the 9.6. Say, yo. So me call Ricky, that's my technician, Rictronics.
Yeah.
And me said to him, say, me shift light now work, you know. But me have another thing we can rig up.
Yeah.
Put that in there, and we went out for illumination against a Supra. And this time now, I'm more settled back in the car. 1 good, 2 good, 3 good, 4 good, and I say yeah. But the Supra, they kind of crossed the beam still, so he got eliminated.
Okay.
So I come up now and I say, alright, no shift light no come on, I no let the limiter proper time this. The 9.6 was at 137 miles per hour. This run, the slip said we did 145 miles per hour. No time.
What?
Me no get no time. Me say I beg. Me say if you cut me no blood no run, brother. No blood. Yes. Me no get
I never know this. Okay.
no time.
Okay.
All as a result of that, me say anytime I go any event, me Tazo have to in there, me Draggy have to in the car, because nobody will tell me again that there was no time or mile per hour. Me, I go have it. Right? So basically, and we never got to go. So I was the remaining car in the 9 second now. To go back out for the last round of elimination. Finals is now, you know.
Right.
Finals. Them say bad light, meat have to cut off this. So we never get to do a full day's run pan the car. So the car, no, you know what, nothing.
So the 9.6, that's the record?
Yeah.
Wow.
9.6, and I know that the other run was faster. The data log, although it's hard to judge where you actually lift, is a little further past the quarter, and the data log I show with 9.5. So we don't know. It could have been a little faster. It could have been a 9.6 lower, but when we know the car is faster than what we ran the first run. So you know.
well, considering that both cars have been not at their full potential, I would say.
Yeah.
I guess it would be good to kind of come back out and you know, because I didn't know that that's what happened on the 9.6 run. You know?
Limiter, man. Limiter every gear. If you go back on my Instagram page, 2017, last part you will see the run. Every gear was a limiter. I mean,
wow.
as me say, it not take much to really prep this car, but of course we don't want to go through the braking system. Have to go back on the dyno. Have to go back and test the car, and it's work. It's going to take work to do them like prep something there.
Well, let me ask, in terms of where technology is today, right? Much more advanced, I would say, since 2017.
Yeah.
With a lot of the things to our advantage to go faster today. If you had continued on that same trajectory, where do you think, I'm kind of putting you on the spot now, but where do you think you would be if you were still racing both cars?
Alright, so I'm a calculated person. I calculate everything down to the T. And of course the laws of racing say the faster you go is the harder it is to go faster.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But when I look on where we're coming from, 2015, first outing 11.4, down at Jamwest, we come Vernam, we go 11.2, come back the next meet, we go, well, the next meet we had gearbox problem. The meet after that we went 10.4. The meet after that we got 10.1. The meet after that we got 10.0. The meet after that we got 9. 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meet after that we go 9 lower. We put it down for a year and then come back and go 9.6.
Okay.
We never get to run the car. So I think if I was racing and developing this car going far, I think would I be right for 8. Right and knocking on 8. You know?
Okay.
And I say that because as I said, to a technology gone.
Right.
There are different fuels out there now.
True.
I think the 60 foot has gotten better at the Vernon field. So I think would I be down there? Would I down there?
Yeah.
Would I down there? Close. If not, you see it's so hard to, you know, because we a lot of people not understand, you know. Them see something on Instagram or on the internet. And then buy this a piece of parts and they say, yeah, this is good for 40 horsepower, that part is good for 10, and they add you, right? And me supposed to 1,000 horsepower car supposed to run 8.5, 8.2, blah blah blah.
Paper racing.
Paper racing, but it not add up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we now have to factor in the track condition, how much power do I really need
For
the pavement.
Okay.
Because you will make your car and put it down and then it's a waste of time and it's a waste of money. So factor in all of that. That's why I say I think we're there somewhere. And then now, what I have noticed over the years racing, especially drag, you can't go to the zero, you know.
Yeah.
And a problem for crossover, you know.
Nobody can cross it.
You did it, a butter car, man.
You know, as you mentioned that, you know, Bojo was at 10-0 for a good while and just could not cross over. So you know, as a veteran and somebody with experience, you know about the zero.
Yeah, man. May I tell you, before we talk about when we did over car 55, so we run 11-0 in a this car 3 times straight. I may catch me down and say, oh, what happened? I say, why 10-0-0 something, you know? And so when people tend to get excited when they say a car run a mid time, whether it be a 9.5 or a 10.5, and them say, yeah man, is a next class car. It's a 9-second car, it's a 8-second car.
Not quite.
And so you go, reach at the zero first. When you reach, somehow we're fortunate if you just jump over it, you know.
Gotcha.
But reach the first and then figure out. Because you reach right at the zero and you say, alright, we need X power for do this, we need to do this. And you change something and everything spoil. It happen foreign, it happen, yeah. Everything spoiled. So it just have to be like a little at a time, And it is the right way to do it. It's not to throw money at the car. Probably I give it too much. I get cussing for that part, but is to maximize what you already have.
Okay.
Then you switch.
Okay.
That's the way I do it.
Changes in small increments.
Small increments. Like you'd have a dyno session, you throw on a car panels, flinging sitting, and oh, boom. And next man will take in time and he iron out this so. He pick up in 1 horsepower and 2 horsepower, as opposed to the man will just fling it on and do so and done. You may never find out where the sweet spot is where you cross over. So you make 5 horsepower. But you don't know if you did take your time, if that 5 would have been 8. Because you probably had a little too much time in. You make more power, but you don't know if you did go slowly if you that be 8, because you can go too far off and lose power, you know. Air fuel and timing. Same thing within our engine, you can go too big off a cam.
Okay.
And you lose power. You can go too big off the exhaust, anything at all you can change. So I think that is, people are impatient.
What would you say is your most memorable moment
In racing?
in racing?
Well, Kejan, so much of them there.
You can give me 2.
I think the one we remember mostly are when we take up +1.
And +1 is the all motor.
The all motor.
Yeah.
Take up +1, carry it back to Mandeville, change the alternator, strap it on the dyno.
So you were at Vernon
At
Field.
Vernon Field,
Yes.
take it up, carry it come a Mandeville, do qualifying a go on, you know.
Yeah.
Carry it come a Mandeville, change the alternator, see what it do. Do a little one tune pan it,
On the dyno.
pan the dyno,
Yeah.
because of course you know the voltage change now.
Right.
Put it back on the dyno, put it back on the record, bring it back to Vernon Field, catch qualifier as the last car in the line, and go out there and run a 9, broke the record, move it from 10-0 to 9-9. That was
Wow.
such a good feeling.
Wow,
Because the
wow.
adrenaline, I think of the adrenaline, you know, just the fact say, they bring the car to the track,
Leave the track.
make 2 pass, something right with it, put it on the record,
Come
carry
back
it
to
come a
Mandeville.
Mandeville, do what we had, and I mean, and then he alone,
Yeah.
and bring it back down here and brought the record. And
Wow.
then my sister was on the phone like, one day, we don't need to come now. And I know, say we're under pressure, you know. So that one stood out in my mind.
Yeah.
And the next one now, me and Teddy Burton were sharing the Taliban in a JMMC sprint and the axle brake.
Yeah.
You know, the axle, because when I really walk with Spears, and we left Vernon, the sprint was at Vernon.
Yeah.
Come a Mandeville, get one axle, we never look so right. But the only thing we have, go back to Vernon, put in the axle just in time to catch a second run.
Wow.
And end up with the fastest front wheel drive time for the day.
Wow.
That was good too. Them two there stand out in my mind as racing AKR.
Yeah. What would you say is your biggest or one of the biggest challenges you face in the automotive racing industry?
Is the availability of parts one, and the cost too.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the development process, so you have to spend to achieve, but you can't overspend either.
Right.
So burn yourself out, burn your pocket into a hole.
Right.
Good thing I have good sponsors.
Right.
We go back to Farmers York Center again. It's the main sponsor, Eugene Grandison. So obviously you have people that talk negative things, which everybody should be given an opportunity to race, and then they would see how difficult it is to accomplish whatever it is they are after.
Right.
And then they would appreciate, say, if a man around 16 seconds, give him props, he made some effort to be there. No different from a man that running 10s, 11s. People have different perception of you, because at the racetrack you will not find a person that is under pressure smiling.
True.
If the person wants to do well, the person will have to be focused. And I shine the spotlight for myself, because when I there race, serious, because my head space is somewhere else. When I get into the car, I don't see the crowd, I don't see the next competitor either. It's like I'm in my own
Zone.
Only poor. Once put on the helmet, it's like everything just slow right down and calm down. You just
Lock in.
right. So when you have people that talk negatively about another racer, even if it's not me, it kinda get to me. Because them don't know
what you have to go
what
through.
is going through. Them don't know the late nights, the frustration, what you take to get there, what you do to get the car reliable. Reliability is a big deal for me. I don't like broke down. I don't like the broke down business.
Yes. What word of encouragement would you give to, maybe a young builder, young tuner, young person coming up in the automotive industry where, they're faced with some criticism, people probably talking negatively about them. What word of encouragement would you have to give them?
Well, look, this is not. Don't take everything too personal. Don't take everything that you see on the internet as gospel and run with it. Don't make nobody tell you say you can't do it, that now go work, because everything where you see coming on, the technology, at some point somebody they look on the other person and say that you do a foolishness, you know. Remember when Berger and Holtz them come out with a wheelie bar, everybody say, Lord, front wheel drive with the wheelie bar, where them a go with that? And that thing was so effective that them ban it. You have to take them off. Front wheel drive, pull 1.2 60 foot, where you hear that? That's why all wheel drive, I don't know. So they had to find means. So the negative talk, no pay no attention to it. Just don't get ahead of yourself. Stay humble, head down, do your work, and not because something no exists, you have never seen it before, meaning you can't make it. You cannot make it. As that is one thing Clevey they teach me. Him say nobody will make what you want. You have to make it yourself. As a result, all of the race car them there's something to it that will cut and change, regardless of who make it.
Right.
It will get cut up. And something will happen to you, whether the piston or something will get a little bit of touch, because that's the way I like it. So you have to just do the same.
We know that you're still actively racing. The last meet you came out, you are actually the winner of the 12-second class in the Audi. Was it a white Audi?
Yeah.
Right. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
But straight up, we all know that's not what the fans are looking for. Straight up. We don't want to see you. We don't want to see you. I mean, yes, you're winning still. You're still winning. We want to see those two bad boys behind, right? Now, is there a reason why we haven't seen you since 2017 actively with the two record holding cars?
Been at Dover.
Wally Miss Amore! Wally Miss Amore! Wally!
Circuit. Okay.
So skipping in between circuit and drugs, and this been happening from as long as me can remember. I always been skipping back and forth.
Got you.
Wherever the opportunity presents itself.
Got you.
So that happened.
Okay. The $1 million question. I mean, everybody is asking, and everybody watching this video probably saying, how come Kedron asked this question it? So let me ask.
What is that? What is that?
Will you be returning to drag racing?
You know, say I am a person where just turn up. You just reach a vertical feel one man and I'm dead. But me not gonna say me I come.
Okay.
Or me I come. You just have to go wait and see, because some of my time I not even know myself, you know. Seriously, some of my time I not even know myself. Are we going, are we not going?
Got you.
You know, so
it's a possibility.
Have to wait and see.
It's a possibility.
It is a possibility. Probably see me but no, but I was there.
No, you wanna talk.
So
you know we're talking about no.
The circle, you know, yo.
No man, you know what I mean. We're not talking about the Audi, we're talking about the record breaking cars. Because truth be told, people come to events to see fast cars.
Yeah.
They come to see records broken. It's good for motorsports because it shows that, you know, boy, people doing work. Exactly. Progression. So I'm sure after many years, I mean 2017, there's not been an announcement, boy, do you know what time that was? You know, that kind of excitement. Yeah, we haven't really got a national record breaking time since. And so, you know, I mean, we're not putting on any pressure, but of course, as I said, your fans want to know, you know, if you will be returning.
I can't say. We don't know. We don't know yet. At least we're halfway through the year. You know, so I'm not going to talk, you know, so all right. Turn it every which way, upside down, and the answer will come
boy, peeps. I try to get the answer out of Xavia, you know, but him, very hard not to crack, but we will see.
I kind of feel like, say, if I should have come out and say, may I come X time.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, no, man, sitting right there, so that is not But I gotta take a little bit of the flavor out of it.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
I feel like that would be the case.
And by history, you have never done that before. You just show up.
Me just show up.
So in other words, we a man might just show up. And see you next event as well. It might not.
We always there race from early in the morning. So if you reach there, for example, 7:30.
Yeah.
And you not see the car not going to be there.
Alright.
Because we always early.
Got you. For circuit, who would you say, one of your biggest competitors, and also for drugs, who would you say has been one of your biggest competitors? I mean, somebody who probably push you a bit to, like you said, alright, cool. This person really tried.
Alright, for Dover, I don't think there is any, like I said, a competitor. It's just driving a car and enjoying it.
Okay.
That is Dover.
Okay.
Just enjoying the car.
Right.
Take 2 corner and break down this and change 2 gear. That. Drugs now, maybe Craig never know this. Craig are the one who put me under some pressure, because back in the day when you never had things easily accessible, you have to make something to compete with Craig. Craig buy everything, buy everything. And I took a plane to go Florida one time for 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
That included getting off the plane at the airport, go at the part shop, go pick up what I want, and go back at the airport and get on the next. I just want to run out, grab up what I want.
Almost like going to the supermarket.
Just run in and run out.
Okay.
And I feel like say that it stress me out because but if you run in and run out to come back, but it paid off because we actually got the record lower 11-2 at the event. So I think that was the highlight. The one in 2015 now was just a rapid progression of development.
And 2015 would be with you and Neil?
Right.
Okay.
So what happened there so now was that normally I've never done a full year of racing except the one down Jamaica in 2005. But ever since it was always a 1 meet or a 2 meet. In 2015, however, Uncle G said, boy, I want to try after the team championship. So it's 5 events at NDRC, and there was one in Jamaica. The first one was in Jamaica. I think that was February or March. So actually the car +1 go down there. So it was all about getting the car faster and faster. So every event we go, we do something and we take off a 10th or 2. And because we are running the championship, as I explained to you, say, I use the 2 car. So it wasn't, for me, it wasn't wholly and solely about the rivalry. Like when me and Craig did at it and I just 1 car and it's just about the time. This was more progressing at a rapid rate. We try this, take off a 10th.
Collecting some data,
we put on that. The time drop. And we say, but hold on, car go faster and faster, plus we are on the championship, so carry it and keep working at it. It takes some work, yes, but it never as nerve-wracking as I would say back then when,
Yeah.
Right, but I think it was a good run.
Okay. Any thank yous, any shout outs, any big ups?
Big up to 876 Street. Come here and do the interview. Big up to Eugene Grandison, Farmers Work Center. One big up Clevey, Uncle, large up yourself. Mr. Peter Moody Sr. was an inspiration to me as a youth growing up. The preparation and all of that. I took a little bit of that from him, even before knowing him. The same car, him properly prepared. From Cleveland, we never afraid to cut up nothing at all. Still not afraid to cut up nothing at all. Big up Denny, that's been here with me forever. My sister, that's always been there supporting. Big up James Inks, Cyprian Fuller, Rafi, Galab. The amount of things we do sometime. I wonder if I forget anybody.
Well, most naturally, you know, and I don't expect if we mention everybody, but
Yeah.
you know,
But, Bill Lewis was an inspiration also. You know, the whole precision of everything that we spoke a lot 2015, 2016, and them something there. Uncle Bill is a humble person too. You know, not really business with nobody, but if you get on the wrong side, you know how that go. Can't live without the father. First, we should have said first and foremost, because a lot of things that I have figured out, it can only be because of God's power. It give me a this natural ability to see things where other people just don't see. You know, so I have to big up the Almighty for that too. I don't know.
I mean, everybody else everybody else who you may not, you know, remember now. Cause I know you're gonna call me later and say, oh, you know, me they forget to big up. So everybody, to everybody who you may not hear your name, are big up.
Big up.
Big up. Yeah, man.
Big up.
I did say earlier that we have $1 million question, but here's another $1 million one, right? Since 2 years now? I mean, it's been 2 years now. We saw Buju with his all-wheel drive setup. You know, he ran a PB of 8.8. You know, currently one of the fastest, all-wheel drive Civics. Now, after that, rumors all over the place. Boy, we know that we soon see Xavia, you know. We know, and then just like that, out of the blues, literally out of the blues, one day I woke up and I saw this blue all-wheel drive Civic, right? What infamously, what is the name of it again? Anna.
Yes.
Question now. When will we see Anna?
Yeah, boy.
To be continued. Catch that.
Come on, we just have to keep this around, man.
Yeah, man, you need to get the what's up the name where you go?
Think the board.
Action. You don't have that? We need to get one of that. Action. Let's up yourself, Raina. Cool now. Cool. Yeah, man. If you go on the bypass, you know, and you do the speed limit, 110, right?
Yeah.
And you take that car up to touch that 70. Boy, police officer in the play. I jump in a turbo DC5 and I touch the bypass. I do 273 kilo. Right? That is 170 miles per hour. You never flat out either. You just a do road, right?
Yeah.
And when me reach a town here, my lip blow off with the ground and drop on the ground. Yeah. The weather strip there so blow out. All pieces of the car start going missing, and it's not like it wasn't fastened properly. So you know, say at the wind resistance. So the faster you go, it's the more resistance you will now have against the wind. So it's enough car them put Speed Factory is a perfect example. The diffuser down the back to keep it stable when you go. Them speed
forward,
the wing. So the hero and the 3-piece front of them have, right?
So it's not just for fancy look.
And a fancy look, they are all
purpose.
Enough to cut through the wind.
Out of all your achievement.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It's still a record, not true?
Hey,
you are making mistake.
Thank you for watching another video production of 876 Streets. Subscribing to our channel definitely means a lot to us. Thanks for your continuous support.